So now I'm going to go and take another step at busting in a little bit more detail in the. Let me just 1 sec here. Here's an example of a quick way to see there's some discrepancies from the model pretty quickly, and it's obviously one's in perspective and one's not, so you kind of have to take that in consideration. But the angle and the length of the nose is a little bit different, so I'm going to just step down a couple levels and pop that up, pull this back a little bit. A little bit too round still. There's a little bit of a peaking on it. The nostril's a little bit out of place. Whether it's in perspective or not, it's a little low. So you get a pretty good idea of where things are going right and wrong. I'm not familiar with Ghost It. There's Stufu's evil twin. And that's something I can check out afterwards, but it's just like I guess the idea is that doing the A/B similar to just taking a screenshot and putting it in Photoshop. Silence. Let's commit a little bit of the eye shape in. Like, let's really get that where I think it should be. The Zbrush UI is kind of weird. You can actually set like like I said, this UI is not what I use for sculpting normally, but the brushes in the sculpting UI, which is set by switching through. There's different UI sets, but the sculpting one has a set of brushes at the bottom that are actually for sculpting. The ones they give you are kind of garbage, so what we're going to do is set it. So you can actually set different brushes into these slots. So I use H-Polish, Dam Standard, and Trim Dynamic a lot, so I try and drop those in every time I use it. So I'm going to use Damien Standard to just pop in a little sharper detail around where those eyes should be. Just scoot them in, and then trim around it. Try and bring that shape down to where I think it looks about the right width for the eyelid. And usually with eyeballs, I always sculpt them at least for the model I'm working through, because like I said before, these aren't necessarily final models. These are things that I want to get every bit of the shape, the forms in. But then if down the line I need to have those animable or something similar, or maybe they just aren't clean enough, I will make that sphere in Max and just bring them in and basically just make a hole on my, like, push back that mesh in ZBrush. I'll just push it back. I like to use the clay tool to push back, like I just did there. I push back that space and then pull back up a little bit more in the center to give little soft wrinkles. Not really rigid, just enough to indicate that there's a fold there. Smooth, when you use smooth, once you start holding shift to smooth out, if you let go of the shift key, it will actually do the alt smooth, and the alt smooth is a little bit less destructive, and it'll keep nice arcs in, so I can use that to make nice pillowy forms from these kind of lumpy shapes that I've dumped in. Another brush I use a lot is the actually any of the form brushes. They're very similar to the clay. They build up forms pretty nicely, build up shapes pretty nicely and slowly. Instead of being a direct displacement, you can kind of build shapes together. So instead of sculpting over this and getting a straight bubble, I can kind of build up to a nice soft shape. So something like the eyelid, it's a great way to get a nice fold over the eye. Come back in with a Damien Standard. Pull, push, pull, push. Do what you want. Also going to kind of estimate where that shape should be, that horn, whatever the hell it is. Start pulling up a little bit of material. Cut in some of the folds, just not really committing them, but cutting them in. Like start to see the lighting. Non-committal kind of guy, so you can kind of gesture it in, smooth it out, and then sort of use that as your basis for when you zoom out. What does it look like? Does it look clean? Does it look a little messy? I'm seeing lighting I don't like in this face area. I want this to be a nice arc, so I'm actually going to use a pretty wide move tool and use the alt move in that area. Start pretty big and then scale it down and keep tweaking it the same way. I think this eye socket got a little big, so I'm going to pull that around a little bit. Pull these back. Like I said, move tool is your friend forever and ever and ever. The distance from the eye to the mouth got a little wide, so I'll pull that up. I'm going to fill in the shape between where I just kind of messed up. I got a little kink in it. Using the clay brush, I'm just going to sort of fill out that form. It feels like that should be a pretty solid mass between the two. I also think these got a little bit pronounced, these folds, so just clay tool over the top using the alt, push it back a little bit.